They called him a dictator, a tyrant, a cold-blooded strategist. But what if I told you Vladimir Putin has a secret weapon? A weapon so powerful, it's allowed him to outmaneuver the entire Western world for decades. This is not a story about politics. This is a story about strategy, about discipline, about the mind of a man who rose from the shadows to control one of the most powerful nations on earth. Love him or hate him, you have to respect his game. And today, we reveal how he did it. Before he was president, before he was feared. Vladimir Putin was just a boy from the crumbling streets of post-war Leningrad. Born in 1952 into poverty, in a city still scarred by Nazi siege, young Putin wasn't handed power, he clawed his way toward it. He grew up in a shared apartment with no hot water, no luxury, and no safety net. But what he did have was obsession. Obsession with strength, with loyalty, with discipline. As a child, he read spy novels and idolized Soviet intelligence officers. He wasn't dreaming of fame, he was dreaming of control. And by his early 20s, he had joined the KGB, the shadowy heart of Soviet power. There, in the cold corridors of state surveillance, he learned something Western politicians never understood. Real power doesn't shout. Real power whispers. He studied his enemies, observed human behavior like a scientist, and most importantly, he learned how to disappear, to operate silently, invisibly. He wasn't just training to serve the state, he was training to become the state. When the Soviet Union fell in 1991, the world celebrated. Western leaders cheered the end of history. Capitalism had won, democracy had prevailed, and Russia, left in chaos, a broken empire looted by oligarchs, mocked by the West. But amid the confusion, one man was watching, waiting, calculating. In the late 90s, while Yeltsin struggled to hold the crumbling nation together, Putin climbed the ranks, quietly, efficiently, ruthlessly. And in 1999, almost out of nowhere, he was appointed prime minister. Months later, president. The West barely noticed. But inside the Kremlin, the chessboard was set, and Putin made his first move. He crushed the Chechen insurgency with iron force, sent a message: Russia is back. He silenced corrupt oligarchs, not with debates, but with arrests, exile, or worse. He re-centralized power, rewrote the rules, and redefined loyalty. Moscow was no longer a playground for billionaires. It was the seat of a new empire. His empire. While other leaders smiled for cameras, Putin learned judo, rode horseback shirtless, flew with cranes. He built an image, not just of a man, but of a myth. A leader above politics, a symbol of Russian resurgence. And as he rebuilt his country, he studied his rivals. He saw how the West distracted itself with culture wars and 24-hour news cycles. He saw how democracy made governments weak, indecisive, slow. Meanwhile, he was consolidating, planning, playing the long game. Then came Crimea, 2014, a flashpoint that shocked the world. Russia annexed a region in broad daylight and no one stopped him. Sanctions followed, condemnation. But Putin didn't flinch. He knew something others didn't. The West had lost its appetite for real confrontation. Its people were divided. Its leaders worried more about Twitter than tactics. And that's when Putin unleashed his most dangerous weapon yet: psychological warfare, disinformation, cyber manipulation. The battlefield wasn't just land anymore, it was minds, elections, narratives. He didn't need to fire a single bullet to cause chaos. All he had to do was whisper, plant doubt, fan division, turn countries against themselves. He mastered this new era of hybrid war. And while politicians argued on talk shows, Putin was already infiltrating the digital world. Troll farms, fake accounts, leaked emails. Every move subtle, deniable, and devastating. He doesn't care if you think he's the villain. In fact, he wants you to. Because while the world obsesses over his image, He obsesses over outcomes. So what's the method behind the madness? What's the doctrine of the man behind the myth? It comes down to 3 ruthless rules. 1. Never show your next move. Putin doesn't react. He prepares. He lets others panic while he calculates. 2. Let your enemies underestimate you. He plays the part of the old-school strongman, but beneath the surface is a master of nuance, of leverage, of silence. 3. Strength is silence. While others tweet, he watches. While others debate, he strikes. The West tried to isolate him, sanction him, shame him, but he turned every setback into propaganda, every criticism into a weapon. He doesn't need to be liked, he only needs to win. And as America cycles through presidents, Europe faces crisis after crisis, and global alliances fracture, one man has remained a constant. Vladimir Putin, the spy turned strategist.